Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another Tabletop Odyssey video. This is another Malifaux crew unpack for you today, and we are doing the Bayou today. This will be all factions. We will have covered one keyword for after this, so it's all to play for if you want to put your votes down for who you want to see next. That being said, we are doing Som'er Jones and the Big Hat keyword today. Let's delve right into it. So who is Som'er and why would you want to play the Big Hat? See, Gremlin culture and traditions have often traced their origins to Som'er, the patriarch of the Jones family. Now, in Gremlin culture, big hats are used to distinguish rank. The distilling of moonshine is there, and of course the training of pigs. Just a few examples of things that Som'er has influenced. A few raids on the humans later, and suddenly Som'er is a local legend, allowing him to draw recruits from all the way across the bayou. His name is thrown around in all kinds of unbelievable stories, surviving the lethal blows, compelling adventures, and the story of how he got his name. After taking a mighty wallop to the head, he spat out his teeth at his opponent, grinning. Now, Som'er, he believes that for gremlins to survive in this new age of Malifaux, they are going to have to unite together. Well, actually, it was an idea from Zoraida that he stole, but he's claiming it for his own. And he managed to, like herding cats, rush all of the gremlins together into a single meeting place. And they called it democracy. Democracy? Demo-crazy? It is at least crazy. And there they decided that they were going to vote for a leader of all gremlin kind. Now, Som'er isn't dumb. He is manipulative and conniving, and his large rivalry with Ma Tucket meant that he was never going to make it in charge himself. But his son, big, tall, freakishly dumb Lenny, well, he is a lovable giant, and everyone could be persuaded to vote for him. He is, after all, easy to manipulate. He won in a landslide. Now, while Lenny is of course officially the Gremlin General, all the real orders in Gremlin Town come from Som'er himself. It's just a matter of time before his big ideas come to fruition. So we learned a little bit about who Som'er is, but why do you want to play Big Hat? See, Big Hat, like the rest of the Bayou, is a bit of a wacky and fun keyword, and you'll want to be mispronouncing all of your words all the time, and speaking like you're some kind of backwater urchin, or like you're from the deep south of America. See, Som'er specifically, he runs a horde, so if you like having loads of models on the field and having lots of activation control, the more models the better, then maybe this is the keyword for you. Maybe you want a leader who's just as renowned as Chuck Norris. After all, Som'er has jumped across an entire river with just one step. He's managed to take down an entire giant automaton by himself with a single shot of his boomer. And after all, Som'er never misses with his gun, because there's always a gremlin standing behind them to whomp them over the head just in case. Maybe you think that gremlins are the best and have the biggest hat in the room. Som'er certainly does, and if you don't turn up to every single game playing this keyword with a giant hat, then shame on you. But maybe you really like to party while everyone else is feeling just that little bit glum and trying to be seriously winning games. You're out here as a Bayou general trying to, I don't know, have a good time, I guess? You're bold, you're brash, and you're unrepentant in your demeanor. You just have to have a great time no matter what anyone else is thinking, and you are going to absolutely love this keyword. Now let's dive into the titles. Your first option here is to take the bigger hat than you crew card, which allows you access to the Bayou boss title. Now this is your super horde title and allows all of your models within your keyword to have Behold My Bigger Hat, an ability that when this model ends its activation you can discard a card or a soul stone to give an enemy within range staggered. Now 6 inches is quite a way. Handing out staggered for a card isn't bad, for a stone definitely not. This might be used especially if you want to slow down enemies and group them up a little bit better and make sure that they are not ruining your careful plans. You also have the stone tactical signature action, Disappointed Backhand, which you'll almost never use, but if you happen to want to deal a damage to an ally within range, allow yourself to move up 4 inches and gain an impact by all means. There are better ways of getting impact in this keyword and for moving forwards, but it's there if you need a pocket signature. Impact, however, is going to make a very big difference to the amount of damage that this keyword can pump out, and spoiler alert, this keyword can pump out a lot. Which brings us to the Bayou boss himself. He has some solid defenses here with 6 and 5 in defense and willpower with 14 wounds. That's quite a lot to chomp through. And he has Handle It Kid, which means he can basically deal damage to a friendly bio gremlin within 10 inches at the cost of a stone instead of taking damage if he so chooses, which means as long as you have bio gremlins nearby, and trust me, you will, this guy is going to be nigh on indestructible. He then has Home on the Bayou, so if you're sitting in your own half, you're going to get a positive on all opposed duels, which is, quite frankly, ridiculous, especially for boosting up your Boomer gun, which is a stat 6 10-inch range damage 2 gun that splashes out damage on raises. Now with an impact token you can take this to 3 damage, and with the Clobberum trigger, provided you have up to 3 Bayou gremlins within 3 inches of the target, which you should, you are going to do 5 base with 6 with an impact. Tasty. And don't forget, you get to raise this even further with raises in general because it is a gun. Lovely that. He also has the Stone Trigger Expert Shot, so as we've said before, even if he misses, he's still hitting because you'll just deal a damage to an engaged ally and they can swing at them with a melee attack at +1 damage. You got to get something out of it, right? Now, how are we going to get those gremlins in range? Well, first of all, we're going to summon them. Well, Lenny's going to summon them first, and then you're going to summon them with Gang Up on them. Now, you can target an enemy within 10 inches here with a raise value of 3, and summon a bio gremlin within 3 inches of the target for each raise. You get an additional gremlin, so that's on a 4, 7, 10, and 13, so up to 4 gremlins you can get off this single action, with a stone trigger to replace one of them with a good old boy or a Gremlin Crier. My preference would be the Crier here. They're going to get a summon token and heal 2. Personally, the Gremlin Crier is going to get a little bit more actions out of your crew than the good old boy, but it might not be the best use of a stone. Remember, they do have a summon token. Now, after you have got your little bio gremlins and they've already activated, well, at the end of your activation, a biggest hat will trigger, allowing 3 bio gremlins that have already activated to count as no longer having activated. So they get to go again. Which is obviously quite tasty, but remember, if these guys aren't already within 3 inches of the target, which they should have if ganged up on them, maybe they've been summoned in a previous turn. How are you going to get them? Well, your signature action, Up and Atom, allows you to move an ally up to 4 inches, and then they can be dealt 2 damage to declare a non-charge action. This can be a shoot, a stab, it can be an interact, or a walk. So you can get things exactly where you need to and do some fun things. And if you get a tome there, well, you can drop another bio gremlin off to beat. Nice. Overall, this man can put out a lot of hurt, and he's going to be summoning a lot of gremlins probably every single turn with how often you are going to be splatting them yourself. So let's get into your Skeeters. These are your totems. You get 2 of them. They are speed 7, which is nice and zoomy. And with your infuse lava, you are able to create another one when they die. Now this makes up for the fact that these guys are rather squishy at 5, 4 in defenses and only 7 wounds. You can just create another one when they die, as long as you've got a remains marker to target. Or if you feel like it, you can just create a bayou gremlin off it too. Nice. Now, when I said these guys are super fast, that's not the only thing that makes them fast. They also have blood meal, so you can target a friendly peon within 14 inches, and then you get to basically teleport all the way up to them, kill them, draw a card, and then discard a card. How good is that? Now, these guys might not be able to interact, they are insignificant, but killing that gremlin is going to drop a scheme. And same with the haberdasher, it's going to drop a scheme down, and you're going to get a card filtering for the job of it. It's pretty good for a stone. I'd be using this. Now, if you're worried about how squishy you are, you do have a nice, lovely attack that deals 2 damage, and you heal for the amount that it suffered. Remember, if you raise the damage, it also heals as well. And its trigger is honestly quite fantastic, especially with how much you're going to be ganging up on people. You can gang up here and deal an extra damage for each other ally with an inch of the target to a maximum of 2. So if you've got another Skeeter there, or well, a gremlin, haberdasher, whatever it is, by all means, this guy's going to jump to them, and you can turn this into a min 4 damage attack that heals you that amount as well. That's pretty cool if you ask me. These are really squishy though, so be careful how you're using them. Don't put them too much in the line of fire, they will drop very easily, especially from willpower attacks. So maybe you don't want to go quite so haughty, you want to go a little bit more elite, but no less damaging, of course. You are going to take the Snatch'n'run crew card and run with the loot monger instead. Now this allows you at the start of the game to summon 3 bayou gremlins within your deployment zone. 3 gremlins for free? That's pretty good if you ask me. And every single one of your models is going to be allowed to cheat with the top card of your fate deck. Must declare triggers once per activation. Now that's pretty nasty. It's also a good way to filter out bad cards in your deck. After all, it's once per activation, and if you've got a low card that you flipped, you might as well just buy you 2 card. There's every chance you'll just flip a better one. Basically a once per activation positive flip, right? You also have on your unique models, Seize the Opportunity, a lovely signature action that provided there is an enemy marker within 6, you can jump to it, remove it, and if it's a scheme marker, you guys are getting an impact token as well. Pretty tasty. With a stone trigger, you will want to use a lot to draw a card. Cards obviously fantastic across the game, and this is just a really good card draw. Especially because it's tied to movement. So if you can get some enemy markers down, that will be great. Fantastic into crews like Faye. And if not, well, you've got to start killing things because remains markers still trigger too. So Loot Monger. Now Loot Monger isn't as survivable at first glance. Maybe it doesn't look at first glance that they're quite as damage dealing, and you know, they don't really have the summoning capabilities of the other title, but what do they have? See, first of all, this guy really likes markers. When he dies, after they've taken through all 14 health, once per turn you can drain a soul stone to be placed into base contact with a scheme marker within 6, remove it and heal 5. Now that's pretty good. He can then get some bolstered out on allies, including himself, once per activation. If you can remove a scheme marker with an 8, the ally that removed it is going to get bolstered, so that if it's removed on him, he goes up to a 6-7 in his defensive stats, which looks a lot tankier than it did before. Now, What's that about markers? Yeah, well, this guy really likes markers. He thinks it's some serious business. He can target a marker with an 8, place himself into base contact. That's a pretty far leap. And then he can declare the interact on a mask. That's nice. Put down a second one, why don't you? Or he can summon a bayou gremlin, which could be tasty. And then he's got his sack of loot now that he's in the action. He's going to smack someone around with stat 6, damage 3 attack. With each raise, you're going to make a scheme marker within an inch of the target. Maybe you might get a crit strike too, make it damage 4, why don't you? Or maybe you're going to hit the daze trigger to give them stunned, turning off their own triggers and their signatures. Both really tasty triggers here. Definitely something to look forward to. But the real coup de grace for this model is the misappropriating your junk. Now, if you manage to get a bunch of markers down, you are going to absolutely love this. See, this is an 8-inch magic attack targeting willpower and does a number of damage equal to the amount of markers within 6 inches of the target. That's quite a way to a maximum of 4. 4 damage is still quite tasty, however. And for each raise, you get to drop down another scheme marker within an inch. Well, that's good. It means every single time you do this, it's going to get better and better. Now, if 4 damage wasn't good enough, and remember, this isn't a once per activation attack or anything, this guy is going to get a ram trigger to deal an additional 2. So now you're suddenly doing 6 damage on your attack. Oh, with an impact token, you can make it 7. And I do think that if you manage to get up a form of play where you can do 7 damage, 6 damage, 6 damage, with 3 of your actions, that's kind of nuts. And if you get a mask instead, you will get to put down staggered for slightly less damage, but staggered at 8-inch range is still fantastic. This guy really puts at the hurt, whether he's in melee or at range. He can really set up himself. His gremlins dying around them can set up themselves as well. And if you happen to be playing into a marker crew, then they really need to think about their choices in life, because this guy is going to be deleting them. Oh, and did I forget to mention that if you kill someone, they drop a remains marker, and then that counts towards the markers too? Yeah, this is a really nuts action. Maybe we will see this get nerfed in future. Now, obviously, because he's so strong, the Spit Hog is a bit weirder. The totem here. Now, this model, 10 wounds, not great, kind of average 5/5 defenses. And when it dies, it summons a bayou gremlin, which is, sure, fine. This model's main thing is about healing everyone else. When it finishes a walk, you can deal damage to yourself to heal an ally you move through 2 inches. Nice, nice. Their roast pig action gives out bolstered and healing to allies or stun to an enemy, which is good, I guess. And you have a resupply to pull out some cards. The main thing this model's probably going to be doing, at least in the early turns, however, is baking bacon, which is going to move the target 4 inches. And then for a stone, you can splash out to heal 2, or you can use a tome to get a gremlin out. Nice. Now, not only is this going to move your allies into positions that they need to, helping them out with some of your strategies, but also in the likes of informants, you can push enemies off strategies too, and combined with how easy it is for you to put out staggered, this is kind of nice. Throw them off markers and tell them, no, don't come back. You have been ejected from the party. They're a nice and tasty model here, but unfortunately, if they keep hoisting the hog too much, they're going to die very quickly. Unless they're like right next to allies, they're not going to get splashed by their own healing too, so they might go down very quickly. But they are an interesting healer to have. Now we come into the big guns. Lenny Jones, you know, they're definitely not really in charge of the bayou gremlin. This guy is big and cool and rather dumb, but he is 10 cost and he is worth every pretty penny of it. He's also going to cost a few more stones for you throughout the game. This guy is a 5/4 13 wound brute, and he has resilient to reduce damage from raises, and grit, allowing him to increase his attack actions to a positive if he has half or less health. Oh, and did I say that other allies within 2 inches are also getting positives to their attacks? Oh, this guy is a force multiplier. Stand him next to all of your little gremlin boys, and they're going to be popping off. Speaking of popping off, this guy is going to summon a lot of these friends too, and you want him to go early with this. Costs a stone, unfortunately, once per turn, but you don't have to flip a card for this. You just summon 2 bayou gremlins within range. Nice. This means that if you're using him with the bayou boss, you can get some gremlins out really quickly, just to allow them to reactivate later on. It's nice. This guy pumping out an additional 2 for a stone every single turn is great as well, because you need these guys. He can also toss them upfield, because honestly, why wouldn't you? He has a great use of getting people upfield. It's a 10-inch directly away from this model, and honestly, you don't particularly care if your gremlin hits something else, because if they die, it's a peon, and they're going to do damage too. And if they survive, well, you've got a lot of models 10 inches up the board, so that's nice. Now, the thing that makes this guy absolutely fantastic, on top of everything else, of course, is the fact that he has a signature melee action, and it does 3 damage. Nice. Along with a crow trigger to deal 2 damage to another enemy within 8 inches, which is massive. Also, knock aside to get people off of things like bombs or informants is just really good. This guy is amazing. He does cost a lot, and he's going to continue to cost you stones throughout the game, but God, is this guy worth it. He's just a really good beater. He's good at putting things into position. He's a force multiplier, and he gets you gremlins out. Now this guy, however, or rather pair of guys, Georgy and Olaf, is probably the only model I would be taking 100% of the time, every time. They are just that good. Defense 5, willpower 6, 11 wounds, is still kind of tanky. And when they die, they summon a bayou gremlin. So it's not bad. You're going to need to worry a little bit about healing, obviously. They are not as tanky as you think, even with 11 wounds, but for 8 cost is pretty good. Now, these guys do a good job of support and damage and scheming. They've got 2 heads is better than 1, so once per turn after they walk, they can discard a card to interact. This means they're getting extra markers down, especially for loot monger, and also for scoring points in the right places. You also have who runs Gremlin Town. Now this is their signature action, and it's going to be handing out Bolstered and Impact to an ally. Now obviously you're going to choose Impact more often than not. Bolstered is fine, but Impact is better. And if you get a Ram trigger, you can remove a scheme marker within range, that's okay. But the Stone trigger is the most important thing here. I do cost a stone once per turn, for obvious reasons. If the target is a friendly master, deal the damage to this model, and then master may declare an action. Oh, so remember before about both of our masters having really strong attacks? You know, that big gun and that junk throw that do like 5-6 plus damage? Yeah, well, it turns out that they get to do that an extra time each turn, as long as Georgy and Olaf's around. Nice. Oh, and remember, you're giving the target an impact token, so that's going to be at +1 damage too. Nice. Speaking of impact tokens, this guy also has borrowed oomph. See, when he deals damage to an enemy, he can remove an impact token from an ally within 6 inches to deal +1 damage. And I might be wrong here, correct me in the comments if that is the case, but I think you can discard an impact off of yourself and an impact off of an ally within 6 to get +2 to your damage. So his huge fists are now hitting at damage 5 minimum with Pouncing Strike to place into contact with a different enemy and smack them afterwards. That's nice. Fix It also does a little bit of healing, that's alright. And they've got a lovely gun as well, in case you need to sit on a point. So, this guy's just great. He does everything that your keyword really wants you to do, like handing out impact and giving your master extra actions, as well as just good scheming. Georgy and Olaf are amazing. No more comments. Now, if we're looking at movement, we've got Drumstick. This guy is fast. They are 7 speed, flight, and they have Fly With Me, and they can pick someone up with them with Fly With Me, which is really nice to get someone up the board and into position, or just to be a good schemer themselves. Additionally, they have In a Cloud of Dust, so if they are hit and damaged by an action, they can discard a card to move an additional 5 inches. So they are super zippy and evasive. These guys really like Loot Monger, who's going to be throwing out more markers, especially because Falling Skies allows them to target a marker within 10 inches and pulse out a TN12 speed duel or deal 2 damage and move them 2 inches, which is nice. But mostly this guy, if they are attacking and not just running around dropping schemes for you, is going to be using Up We Go, which combined with ramming speed, if you charge, is going to be at +1 skill and any suit that you want. So you'll be hitting at skill 3 against size and placing enemies within 3 inches of their current location with probably a crit strike to boot. Now, this is great at moving people off of markers and informants and stuff like that to make sure they cannot score. And Rampage as well, if you want to, is going to get you even further into position. A very nice model. I definitely consider it a lot of the time if you don't have better ways of scheming. Which brings me on to Jebediah Jones. Now, this guy is very interesting. He is only 7 cost, but 9 wounds with armor and a willpower of 4 means that they are relatively easy to kill. There is some survivability, but be cautious with it. They do have some interesting abilities. This model is really fast, don't get me wrong. Speed 7 and Bacon Grease Lightning, once per activation, just zoom up 5 inches and give stagger to enemy models you went through. It's great. But this model really revolves around the haberdashes. See, that tome trigger on Bacon Grease Lightning summons one. You also get 2 at the start of the game when you're deployed within 6 inches of you due to the best hats in town, and then cog in your plans after scheme markers have made in 3, you can discard a card or drain a source stone to summon another one into base contact with the made marker. Now, haberdashes don't do a lot themselves, but they do die for to drop down schemes, which I think, quite honestly, is the best use of something like this. And these guys, yeah, just pumping out a lot of hats is good. They do also have a Hatling gun, so you can deal some damage from range, and volley allows you to shoot a couple more people. The draw out secrets trigger is probably the most important, especially for Loot Monger, getting schemes out at range for you to position yourself with. And you also have a decent melee that does extra damage on a charge as well, and if you manage to remove a friendly token such as stunned or staggered from them, you can deal an extra 2 damage there, which is lovely. You're Coming With Me also takes people off of markers, which is fantastic. He's a solid all-round model, but a lot of his cost is baked into how good the haberdashes are. Now, these guys are scuttly, they're fast, speed 7, and if they die, they make a scheme mark within 2 inches. That's really good at lining them up at exactly where you need them. Their Hats trick also allows them to kill themselves to get them right into the position, and enemy models within 3 take a speed 13 duel or 2 damage. So there's a chance of doing some damage when you blow up. You also have a little gun there, but you really probably won't be using that. It's skill 3. You're just going to be moving around, getting into position, and then blowing yourself up, if I'm being honest. Let's look at the Gremlin Crier. Now, this is one of your minions here, and this guy has a demise that turns him into a bayou gremlin when he dies. He is only 5 cost, though, which is quite interesting. He's relatively defensive with 8 wounds and first to speak, so if he goes early in the turn, they can't cheat against him. And enemy magic actions targeting allies, including himself, within 4 inches suffer -1 skill. So against magic crews like Titania, well, they really don't like this crew, if I'm being honest, especially Monger. Now, this guy, he does have Obnoxious Rambling to hand out stunned, which is okay. Does more damage if you're higher than them. It's fine. And then by Som'er's Orders, which will pretty much be the main thing that this model uses, which allows you to target different models each time and obey them. And then the target, if the generation action fails, however, the target is going to take 1 damage, so that is important. It's important to consider. You will deal damage to yourself if you fail. And you've got some triggers here that make scheme markers within range at the cost of killing a target, so obviously only use that on a peon, really. And another one that deals damage, again, killing the target. So your triggers are risky. I would not be using Bayou 2 card on this unless you're prepared to accidentally kill a model. But they are good for getting extra movement out of some of your models, or an extra attack out of Georgy or Lenny. Something to consider. Then you've got the good old boy. These guys are cost 6, and I'm not really sure what these guys' places are. I don't think you really want to upgrade them, and I don't think you particularly care about hiring them too often. They don't turn your back, which is fine. Nice, I guess. And when they activate, they can remove a marker to gain an impact. So I guess they can help set up Georgy and Olaf and pass off impact. They fire a gun at stat 5 that could do 3 damage with impact. And splashes, I guess. And broken bottle, that I guess could be 3 damage with impact. But it's, yeah. Okay. Their tactical action is nice though, so if you really want to spam out impact early onto a lot of models, by all means. But there is a much cheaper model that can do this that is, yeah, if that's what you're trying to bring it for. So I wouldn't bring this. Sorry. There does need to be some duds in a keyword as good as this, however. Next up is the Bayou Gremlin. Now these guys are fantastic, they cost 2, you probably won't hire them, they're so easy to summon on basically loads of triggers. But these guys are fantastic, they only have 1 health, so they will die to all of your backhanded and your Gremlin Criers triggers and things like that. So something to consider, they will die, and when they do die, they draw a card, and if they're not killed by an ally, they have to discard one. So I might have messed up earlier and said they drop scheme. They don't. That's the haberdashers that drop the scheme. These guys draw cards for you when they die, which is kind of nice, to be honest. These guys are going to be making use of their group horde activations there, and they really want to be in like groups of 3 because of beatdown and firing line. They both have a very similar effect. So beatdown, melee attack, stat 4, 1 damage. Gets +1 skill if there's at least 1 other friendly Bayou Gremlin within an inch of the target, so you can go up to stat 5. Nice for a peon. And then you have the gang up trigger, so you can do up to 3 damage off of this, which is nice. Yeah, that's just good. Potential 3 damage attack on a peon, not bad. And then you've got firing line. Now this 10-inch range, stat 4, 1 damage once again, and you get +1 skill and +1 damage for each other friendly gremlin within 3 inches of this model that has not activated this turn to a maximum +2. So groups of 3, and then you're getting a stat 6 damage 3 gun here, and then all of them count as activated afterwards. It does have a trigger that must be declared if able, killing this model, but it does deal an extra damage, so you could theoretically have a 4 damage gun there, which for a peon that is so easy to summon is honestly quite hilarious. That being said, remember that som'er can make groups of 3 reactivate? Yeah, so damage 3, stat 6 gun, again. These guys do a lot of damage for models that are supposedly chaff, especially if you have a lot of them, and you can have a maximum of 7 at once, which I wish there were more, but 7's still pretty good amount of gremlins available. Now, the keyword is done. We're going to be looking at a couple of things I would put in this crew to help you out. The first of which is the lucky effigy. Now, this boy, he's really easy to kill. Stat 4, 3 health. He's insignificant. But remember how you're paying 6 for your gremlin? Good old boy, well, to pump out impact, this guy is 2. He costs 2, and he counts as in keyword as well. And he gives targets impact on a 6. And he will just do that. So that's really good. That's the main reason that you're taking him for. There's a chance to upgrade him into the emissary if you manage to be engaging an enemy model, hit them with terrible luck, and pay 2 stones. It could be worth it. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on how you want to do it. And his terrible luck does happen to drop a scheme down if you get a raise, which is very nice for loot monger. And don't forget, this guy can also access everything on both crew cards because he is a unique ally to them. He does count as a big hat model, so he can jump around the board with loot monger. Yeah, fun. Oh, and he can add out stagger as well. So he's a nice little impact token handing out little gremlin there. And then my other option is Bashe because, you know, go small, go big, right? There's a lot of nominarum because there's a lot of bayou versatiles and of keyword that could be considered here. I've gone with Bashe because this model is ubiquitous in how useful he is. If you need something dead, and this keyword is already quite good at killing things, this guy's the dude. Stat 4 in defense is deceptive. He does have willpower 6, but he has 14 wounds and juggernaut, reducing all damage to a max of 3, and then terrifying. Yeah, so they're on a negative as well, is just really difficult to break through. Combine that with great movement from Eternal Hunger. So once per activation you can target marker, you're going to have a lot of these down. If the target is remains marker, he gains a ram, that's nice. And he can move 6 inches towards it and potentially remove it. And that ram heals him. Ooh, yep. Gonna keep him alive even further. And the reposition trigger gets you even more. And a regurgitate crow trigger is going to get you a ski marker down, which obviously loot monger loves. You also have Star for Warmth, so if an enemy would gain a slow token but can't, it's going to get 1 damage. Now this won't come up very often, but the Icy Display trigger on your Eternal Hunger and your Chill trigger on your attack are going to help with this out. Speaking of your attack, you have a massive big chomp with Ravenous Bite, stat 6, 2-inch range, 4 damage with a chance to heal you on a ram. Amazing, and an execute trigger as well. This is great at just melting models. This guy can just be thrown straight into the heart of an enemy crew and just go deal with him. You know what, just deal with him. Gives me enough time to summon all my gremlins, get them into position, and then just finish you off. Because by the time you've dealt with Bashe, you've then got to deal with Lenny, you've got to deal with Georgy, and you've got to deal with som'er, and it's a mess for you. Big Croc. This model could be going in most bayou keywords as well. He's just really good. Expensive, but good. Now, the slightly boring part, or maybe the part that you've all been looking for, I don't quite know. The Tactica section. So if you do want to bring the bayou boss to the table, you're going to be using Gang Up and Friends to fill the board with gremlins. That means you're going to have your 3 damage, Gremlin groups of 3 activations, filling up the board quick. And then they're going to be reactivating after summer's gone to have another pop at people. You're going to have a bunch of gun lines as well, but also you're going to be surrounding enemy models because they're super strong in groups. And you've got quite a few triggers like gang up to improve damage. So group up. Groups of 3, groups of 4 are kind of what you want to do. 4 if you're shooting, 3 if you're melee, I think is kind of good. Get those guys replaced as soon as they die as well. You really want to focus fire certain models that you're planning on killing. Hand out impact to Som'er and Georgy. You've got several ways of doing this. They want some real big bangs on their boomers and stuff. Georgy can give Som'er an extra gun attack as well, so lots and lots of damage, clear out enemies really quick. You can then make use of your demises on your haberdashers to place out schemes when needed for points, or for other models to be able to use. Also, your gremlins dying are going to get you cards, especially if you kill them, so that's maybe a reason to use Gremlin Criers. Gets his gremlins up the board, take an extra gun attack, for example, or an extra stab at something, and then if they die from the trigger, well, you know, you don't have to filter, you just flat draw a card. That's quite good. You also want to keep maybe a gremlin or 2 near the big boss, especially if it's gun line, just in case they want to like do a lot of damage to Som'er. You can just kill one of them off and not take that damage. And then you can also use the gremlins by summoning them to control activation order a little bit. You're having a lot of models, so you're really throwing it into a lot of ways to control activation there. Obviously your opponent gets to choose whether they pass or not, but the more models you throw out, the more annoying it might be for them. You're almost certainly going to get last activation just purely because of how many models you have, unless your opponent is really like saving things to make sure that they get it. Yeah, group up, summon a lot. Keep the triggers in hand ready. I think it's tomes that you summon these guys off, so yeah, keep the stones and triggers in hand to make sure you get a lot of these. Keep a high card in hand for Som'er every time. I know you want to use it on your gun, but if you don't have those gremlins, the gun's not going to be that strong, so make sure you've got that card in hand to summon like 3-4 of them. Be really useful. As for Loot Monger, this guy is markers, markers, markers. Get as many down as you can. Remains markers, scheme markers, whatever is available to you. To jump to throw junk at, draw cards from. The more down, the better. Make sure that you put them in the right place though. Don't just scatterbrain them across the field. If you can group them up around the enemies you're planning on just utterly annihilating, that's good for you. Jebediah is going to be really useful here because you want those haberdashers out and you can get extra cards from demises. He can print more of those relatively easily. So gets extra markers down right in the right place. A few do need to be enemy markers if you need to jump for them for your crew card. So this guy really works a lot better into marker crews that really care about that. That's like ampersand, fae, things like that. Or you really need to start killing someone to make sure they drop a remains marker, and then hoping that the enemies kind of come near those remains as well. This guy is probably the better one for recover evidence, just simply because of how killy he is. And don't forget that Jeb and Criers can get schemes down at range, and they can also get models into position as well. Extra obeys to help pick up markers as well if need be, or to pump out extra actions, things like boundary dispute. You're a little bit easier. You've got the hog to push you up the field. Lenny's quite fast. You've got fly with me on drumstick, so you can be cover quite a lot of ground with this crew. And with the cries, you can get those extra actions out as well. And then don't forget that Georgy can help Som'er dish out some insane damage, so make sure that Georgy's with you and that you've got enough stones to keep pumping that Now we have come to the end of the video. My voice is obviously quite strained for talking for 45 minutes straight. Sorry for that. And I hope you have enjoyed so far. This is honestly a fantastically strong keyword. Has really changed my mind a little bit on bayou. I don't actually own a single bayou crew yet, but it's either going to be this guy or brewmaster maybe. I think I'm looking at. They just look so fun to play. A lot of fun energy about it. Really sets the tone for the game. If you've enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below about who you want to see next, or something that you want to say about how cool this keyword is. I'd love to see some of your photos of this crew in the weird Discord if you want to put it there. And feel free to @ me in any servers that we share. I am Silver Seraph, and yeah. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Tabletop Odyssey.